Hey, Rachelle Rozon, so excited to have you here. Welcome to the interview. Rachelle Rozon, I'm really excited to have her here today because this is a beautiful, beautiful spirit, beautiful friend of mine, wonderful client who has soared like an eagle in her journey. And I'd love to interview you. Here we go on some things that you have gone through, experienced, stored in, and as a result of being inside Crystallize Your Vision program. So Colleen, Wynia here, excited to have you guys. Check out Rachelle, you're gonna love her. Go for it, girl. Who are you, my love? And what do you tell us from the professional perspective? What do you do professionally? And tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. Okay. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to share as well. So yes, my name's Rachelle. I am from Vancouver Island, Canada. I'm 33 years old. I'm a mom. I am taking my yoga teacher certification. I was working in maternal mental health before I met Colleen, or at least trying to start my business with a ton of resistance and struggle. And since working with Colleen, I have really stepped into my calling as a healer, and that comes in a variety of different ways, through doing energy readings, through connecting with spirit and people who have transitioned and bringing loved ones messages. It's just been, my life has seen a huge transformation since I started working with Colleen, like really and truly. So I'm excited to share a bit about that today.
Like a 180 for sure from
Yeah.
when we
Yes.
first met. Yeah. Well, why don't you share that part with us? Like, would you let everybody know what the challenge was or challenges that were the top ones that were you felt like you were having an inner struggle with yourself about showing up in the world and about many things. Would you share with us the top few challenges that were like a big reason why you decided to work with me in the program?
Yeah. So I think that the biggest reason that I wanted to work with you actually did not come from challenge. It came from wanting to connect with spirit. That was really like I wanted to get in touch with my guides. I grew up very religious, so not not open to that where I grew up. And Colleen talked a lot about spiritual cheerleaders, and I was like, yes, this is something I want to do. And kind of as a result of going through her process, um, was able to identify a lot of struggles that I was having and work on them. So I think my biggest issue throughout my whole life up to the point where we were working together was that I was doing what I thought I should be doing. And so since I had my daughter in terms of my career, since I have my daughter and I had, my mental health breakdown slash spiritual awakening began, that was why I felt that I should be working in maternal mental health, because I had gone through this big struggle. I had the knowledge, I took the time, I got educated, I knew what to do and what women needed to feel supported. And so I was like, okay, this is my thing. Like, I'm going to work in this area, did some training, but it just felt like I was constantly pushing and pushing and pushing, and nothing was flowing. And it was frustrating. I wasn't able to get clients. I wasn't able to, you know, build what I wanted to build. And kind of through the process of just working with Colleen, I was able to let go of a lot of the stuff that I thought that I should be doing and tap into what felt right.
Ooh, yes, that's a really beautiful way of describing my experience as well that happened within my body when we go through this, when we go through this opening. So what you're essentially summarizing in a way is the should came from your mind based
Yes.
on your circumstances and your pains,
Mhm.
the difficulty. So your mind related it to, well, that must mean XYZ. That must mean that I am going to work in mental health or postpartum moms. And so it was like, right? That's the mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
when you tapped into the heart, how did you tap into the heart? Like, that's where the answer came. That's where you released the should and the flow came. But a lot of people, a lot of my clients and community, they'll say, well, how do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. You take Colleen's program.
Oh,
Like, I mean, it's a really interesting thing, because you would think that like there's, all this like possibility for love in the world, but most of us are not leading from our hearts. And one of the first things, like before I decided to work with Colleen, one of the very first things that happened was we had just like a connection call, and I was having all of these visions come up that were centered around the heart. And when we started working together, same thing came through. I realized that I had all of this anger inside my heart, and I didn't understand why. And through working together, the reasons came up, and I was able to clear them out and work through them. But that essentially is exactly what this whole process has been about, is tuning into your heart, not letting your mind control your life, and doing what you think you should do, and getting in touch with how you feel. And it's like, you think that you know how to feel, but you really don't until you get in touch with your heart. It's wild. It's kind of blown my mind.
It blew my mind. Yeah, as well. Like personally, when I gone through that, because and it's amazing to watch you go through it. What it sounds to me like what you just summarized is you tapped into your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like your heart has the voice of the truth. And by able to go through the roller coaster ride, the ups and downs that come along when we propel ourselves forward in that department of like self-inquiry and internal healing, then just up it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have sometimes the clients ask me like, oh, but I'm scared, or I might not be able to handle if something really heavy happens. My life might fall apart. Could you speak to that?
Yeah. I think that I feel that if you're afraid of how heavy the work is going to be, then there's no better way to go about doing that kind of work than having a community of women who have been through that already, and having the support, and just like understanding that that's appropriate for this type of journey, right? I mean, life is not all butterflies, but it's those dark times that make you appreciate the good stuff. So your personal development journey is going to have a lot of difficult stuff. And Colleen knows it certainly did for me. There was some pretty heavy stuff that came up when we were going through this, but that's why there's like a system in place, and there's support calls, and there's, you're not alone when you're going through it. If you do it with somebody like yourself, if you're just trying to do it on your own, I mean, I've done that years ago. It just doesn't work out. It's so much harder. It's so much harder.
So it's so much harder when you're alone, and it feels so much different when you're not alone.
Yeah.
And did it speed up? I remember when we met, there was a repeat pattern, right? Because you don't know what you're blocked in. Or I say we don't know what is our our hidden moment until we're ready to go into it. And it felt like you kept saying to me, this felt like a long time. This just feels like a long time. I'm looking for who I am, what I do, this kind of thing, like a purpose. Now, I want to say to everybody listening that our purpose can change. However, we want to feel good about our purpose while we're on it. So you were like kind of feeling like you felt like you had a purpose, but then you felt resistance or something. I'm trying to remember how to describe it, but would you say it picked up the speed the speed at which you progress through by having the community, by having the program guidance, things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Because when you have the support, like there's so much more than what you would gain just trying to do it all yourself, right? It makes a lot of sense to do it that way. And because everybody shares what they've been through. And yeah, you gain so much from having a community when you're going through anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what did you love most about the program?
What did I love most? That's a really good question. I feel like it's taken me just to the next level of growth in my life, right? Like I just appreciate where I am now. I don't know, like I really appreciate the lifetime support, being able to know that like, you know, if there's a couple of weeks where I don't feel like I need a lot of support, then I'm able to be free in how I'm doing my life and I can come back anytime. I appreciate some of the friendships that I've made with some of the other members of the group. Um, and when I was going through the really hard time, I just appreciated, like, one of the things that you said when I was really, really broken down there was like, it's okay to just feel this way, you know? Like, there was one day and I was really struggling and I was like, I just want this to be over. And you said something, you were like, but why? Or something. And I was like, I don't know, because it's uncomfortable. And I don't know, you just made me see the value in like going through the period of suffering almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
The value of the discomfort and what the meaning of the
Yeah.
discomfort ends up being, allowing yourself permission to break down or have a moment or a day or a week or a year. I'm kidding. A program, you don't have to keep stuck that long. But I'm, the feeling, allowing the discomfort to be there is how we burn it off.
Mm.
And that is the challenge for people who have been a lot of my clients I've talked to, and myself when I did it on my own for a long time, like, okay, I'll just kind of work through what I can on my own. And I could never get to the heart of it deep enough. And then I realized when I went into the work, like to go more in and got some guidance and some help in the community I was in, then I went into it and it didn't feel so good, right? Just like that day you described. But then by allowing yourself space to be in it, when we're in the feeling is when we burn it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually kind of how it happens. I'm not a scientist, so I can't, kind of talk about the chemical experience of it or the biological, but I do know it experientially. And that's what matters most. Your experience, not just your thought. And not just your knowing, thought, something else. Yeah, very interesting. So kind of just on that note, what is your number one, most important takeaway? I know you've got a few of them, but what is your sort of strongest takeaway you can think of right now about the program? And you may have kind of talked about it a little bit already.
Just how important it is to lead with your heart and not let your mind control the direction that you take, because your mind is so controlled by like the conditioning that we live in, which makes us think that we have to do certain things to like receive the life we want. But really it's all about how we feel. And you can like do all the things and still kind of hate your life because you've never tuned into what you actually need and feel inside. So it's absolutely been living from a heart-centered space.
So living from the heart center. Thank you, Rachelle. Thank you so much. You definitely shine your heart. You've always shined your heart. I just think you're feeling good about it now more than you did.
Yeah.
You've always been in your heart.
Yeah. The other piece too is like feeling worthy, right? And I mean, I don't know, I guess self-love, like not just leading from your heart, but like really loving yourself and understanding that, you're worthy of like living the life that you desire.
Okay.
It's all about the heart for me through this. Yeah.
And so now do you feel like you're on path more
Yeah.
than you were? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing. And like it's showing itself by the people that are coming in and connecting. And it's just like, yes, yes, yes. Events are coming together, like reconnecting with old friends who are also now healing. Like it's wild.
Tell us about it is I love the wildness. And it just triggered in me. Tell us about how the intuition that's opened up for you. Because you shared with everybody that you're now doing certain kinds of guided energy healings and card readings and things that you weren't doing before the program. But how did you get into that? Like tell me about that intuition that you're now tapped into your angels, because I think people would really appreciate that information.
Yeah, that's been like the most exciting part. I think the best and most important part is the heart piece, but that's been the most exciting part for me for sure, because I've always felt really connected to the spirit realm, but because I was raised religious, I was not taught to tap into them. I was taught that it's like straight and narrow, do these things and that will take you to like heaven, but just like a very distorted view. But I think that it was kind of like committing to doing breath work every day started opening up that door for me. Spending more time in meditation, I just started to get more clear visions, and I started to receive visions for other people, and things started coming in that were like obviously from the angelic realm. Like angel numbers started coming in, and I don't know, just like it's hard to explain even the path, but it was like I would just get this sense, this feeling, again, feeling in the body, started paying more attention to my body, stopped like, consuming alcohol and weed and all the stuff that was blocking me from feeling. And when I started to clear all that stuff out, especially over the last 90 days where I really cut everything out.
Wow. Good work. Good
Yeah,
job.
it just like I feel it every day. And I've made it a really important part of my day. Like how I start my day every day is in a meditation and just seeing what's coming through. And then when you get like a little hit of something and you go through with what is coming in, it always just works out for your best. Like I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. Other than there's a big process of tuning in and letting go. And once you do that, then you're able to hear what the universe is trying to tell you, because it's always trying to talk to you. It's just that we don't make space for it to be heard, basically.
We don't make space for it to be heard. And now you're hearing. Now
Yeah.
you're hearing and you're feeling in it. Yeah, you're feeling it through in a new way. Oh, there's so many things that were coming through, but that was as you were sharing, and that really so your decision making now. Okay. So you're able to tap into spirits, you're able to offer guidance, you're able to hear yourself more, and you feel better.
Yeah.
Right. And I keep forgetting, but there was something you were saying about when you were tapping in. I'll let it come back into this call if it's meant to be shared. But how do you more navigate life? Do you navigate life with greater ease from this intuition that you're now tapped into? Like, because we all have an innate intuition. We're all innately intuitive. In our program, we talk about, or we guide you into the places like you already have the answers. And so now it's a matter of trusting them. So is that level of trust within yourself and versus the overcoming the doubt? has
Mhm.
changed?
Yeah, I trust myself a lot now. Like I feel like that's the only place that I need to go to
Yeah.
figure out what I need to do. It
Okay.
does not involve outside factors. It's
Yes.
all about going within. And yeah, that is exactly where your answers are.
I just remembered my other question. It was to do with addiction. One of my
Mhm.
clients, I know she's struggling. We haven't really started working together very much yet, but she is dealing with those experiences of trying to cut off, an addiction, like a drug or something that she's doing. And she's going through all the discomfort, I guess would be the same, like she's wanting to stick to to her decision, but she's going through the pull of wanting to go back to it because it feels so like it's throwing her right off. And I'm encouraging her to sort of like keep going through it. But you finally hit a point, right? But us, like in the program and all the work you've done personally on yourself and inwardly, and you're able to now hit this place, and it doesn't feel as difficult, does it, as it did before?
Yeah, even though, it's funny that you're bringing that up, is like, so last night I had like, just a moment where I got home. I was really exhausted. I just wanted to sit down and watch TV, and I binge ate. I did a lot of junk food. So like my addictive behaviors are not gone yet,
Yeah.
but I've at least replaced them with things that don't like really, really harm my body. They're not messing with my mind. Um,
Can you excuse me, our Zoom froze when I think you might have shared something that you got home and you were leaning in that direction. The addictive behavior hasn't disappeared. But did you, by any chance, when it froze, did you say that you did something in place of you chose a
no,
different thing?
I overate. I was binge eating.
Oh, I'm glad. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so glad I stopped and asked you, because it froze at my end. And that is so wild, because that has been my eating pattern
Yeah.
struggle for years, but it cut out and I didn't even hear it. Oh,
Yeah. There you go. That's funny. Yeah. So
so
it's not to say that all of my addictive behaviors or tendencies are gone, but what I do know is that now, I, as soon as I kind of finished that session last night of like
yeah.
dousing in junk, I was like, okay, why did that happen? Like, what was going on? I'm aware of it now,
Yes.
and I can actively kind of look at why that happened. Whereas before, I wasn't even aware, and I was doing stuff that was a lot worse and a lot worse for me. So it's a lot of progress, which is what it will always be, right? Like it's not
Yes.
perfection, but it's a lot better.
Oh, so beautiful. And that is a really important point for everybody who's hearing this, is if it's been in you, it's something that's your go-to. It's like your core wound. And what I say by core wound is it's like in your body when something's out of sync, and we implant an illness, or we implant an addiction, or we implant something that's we call it our go-to, and all it just means is this old familiar tendency of the dark. So you just your patterning is, it takes what it takes for it to relinquish. It's taken me a lifetime to work through the eating disorder that I dealt with, of bulimia. So it is an extreme thing that's really important. And I'm really excited for you that you chose something different.
Yeah, and I think also, just while we're on the topic of addiction, what I would say is that I think that you coming forward and being like so open about your addiction was really helpful to me, because like I was raised in a home with a dad who was obviously an alcoholic, but there wasn't much talk about it, and any talk that there was about addiction was like so shameful. But like a lot of people are addicted. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. And I think for a long time, that's how I associated it. And so being able to just be like, yeah, I think I do have a problem with addiction, but I can work with it. Like it doesn't, mean that I'm going to hell like I was raised to believe was going to happen. Yeah.
I'm hearing you fell in love with yourself through this journey.
Yeah, I would say so. And you know what is funny, Colleen? This is kind of like, I don't know if you'll want to include this, but I went on a date last week, and something that I really noticed was I was like, I'm just going to show up exactly like I am. Like normally in the past, I would have like, made myself to like look like I feel like the person would want me to look or whatever. And I was like, no, you know what? I'm just going to go and show up. If he doesn't like me the way that I am, then he's not for me. And it was a really relieving feeling. Yeah.
Yes, this is the authentic, vulnerable, raw self. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is you're graduating. You graduated. You're soaring. You just keep doing that. And how did it feel to be in the presence of this person now that you're in this new being, this truth part of you, acceptance part of you?
It felt so fucking good. And like, it was so well received. That was the other thing, like I always used to be very self-conscious about myself because I'm kind of quirky and like I'm not like everybody else, but that's the gift.
Oh, there's your quirky is your superpower.
Yeah.
People call me crazy, Colleen, as a little joke. Maybe it's the CC thing for fun, and I'll be just out the blue. I'll be kind of weird, and there's my friend calls me, "You're crazy, Colleen," as a loving thing. And someone else is leading with the word weird. They call themselves weird. So all of these, where someone's giving themselves or another person's giving them a nickname, use it as your power. It's like if you're going to project yourself as quirky, which is not true, or whatever it is, it could be true. It's what you make it. I'm going to go quirky is your superpower. So go with the quirky and see what the quirky brings up, because that's yeah, I love it. Oh, that's amazing.
That sounds like it could be a book. Quirky is my superpower.
I like it. I don't know. Try it on for size, see if it fits or not. Toss it. That's another thing. Did you feel that? I have just a few more questions, and then we'll. In the program, or in the way I've always supported people and believe to be true, is this is a container. This is a space, right? I kind of hold the energy along with you, and for you to feel, for you to shine, for you to show up. And oh my gosh, I just had an 8-track mind, Colleen thing. It just went that way. Let me get space to be. Okay, we know you felt in the program accepted and like supported and all that. But could, of course, now while I'm interviewing you, can't think of the word. But it's like, did you feel that permission, it's kind of like the permission to be the quirky. So let's sort of just speak from that point. Did you feel working like with me through the program, with like the whatever, everything we were doing, like that you had space to be you and seen, just like that, that date?
Yeah, space to be seen is a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Okay.
To be seen as you are, like when you're going through tough shit, it really was very supportive of that. Yeah, I never felt like I had to show up as anything other than what I was going through.
Right. So there wasn't that old cultural family religious thingy just kind of hanging over your head in the moment when we were doing the work, or you're doing the work, or inside the program.
Yeah, I was able to let it go. It was permission to let it go. Yeah.
Woo! That's a big one. That's a real big one for us humans, me included, all of us humans. Yeah, and this is what this is really about. This is the work we do here in Crystallize Your Vision. It's all about freeing yourself so that you can be you, and diving into who is you. And when you're diving into yourself, you hit those points along the way. So a couple more points that I'm curious about. We touched on you're connected to yourself, your ability to communicate with God, source, and cheerleaders. So thank you for that. We touched on many of the results. The one that pleasantly surprised you the most would be, what would that be?
I think it would be, I feel that it would be like a renewed sense of compassion that I have specifically for my daughter.
Mm.
You know, I felt like for a long time when my daughter came into my life that I don't want to say it was the cause of a lot of problems, but it was the catalyst for a lot of stuff to come up for me. And so when you go through something like that, it like you can love your child so much that it puts like a resistance to the relationship. And so one of the things, being more compassionate, just I don't know, just understanding that, like, you know, her and I co-created this life and she's chosen to be here as much as I have. And I don't know, just having more love for her, like seeing her in a different way.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm remembering how the struggle you had sometimes with feeling angry at her for being the way she was. And I've watched your compassion with her grow as your compassion with yourself expanded.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because you can't give to others what you don't have yourself. That's been a really big lesson as well.
Okay. Well said. That summarizes what I was sharing or attempt to share. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Just a couple more questions left. Just want to touch on your profession, go back to your profession once about the pricing and your self-worth. And then I've just a couple invitations for you specific about working with me in the program. So maybe 3 more questions. So one is like, how has your ability to up level your, through your worth, up level what you charge for what you're now doing because when we first started working together, I remember you had a difficulty putting a price to anything. You want to give away all your stuff for free.
Yeah.
And you still have the heart to do that. I understand, but you also realize the value you bring and you require to create an income to take care of yourself and your family, right? So something has shifted inside of you. Could you speak to that ability to have, charge more money or receive more money or the magic of money along with your self-confidence?
So there's a piece of it that has to do with receiving, believing that I'm worthy of receiving now. There's a big piece that is understanding that money is energy and that there's an energetic exchange that needs to occur for somebody to receive the benefits of the work that you're doing. Because what I learned was even if you're giving stuff away for free and it's amazing, if people don't exchange that energy with you, then they're not going to do the work. So it's really all for naught, really. So that was a big piece. Just I'm quite happy with the energy of money now. And I'm like, it's been a really good change.
Beautiful. So you understand that money is energy now.
Yes.
And you change your energy and the money flows.
Yeah. I didn't understand that before. I did.
Thank you. Thank you so much for expressing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had, as I was mentioning before, a new client book in today, and he's going to get a healing. And I told him the price is $222 for the healing. And he's like, Rachelle, one day I think you're going to be adding another 2 onto that. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the other thing about it too is that I feel like total confidence in being able to do this because it's really not me who's doing it. Like I'm just the conduit, the channel, right? So things are coming through, but I'm just providing like what's coming through. I'm not relying on myself to do the healing or get the information. Like it's just whatever comes through is what comes through, and it's coming from such a higher, more pure power. So I don't even have to worry about it. Like I don't get in my head. And that's the piece, right? It's all coming from the heart.
Yes. Yeah, because you're hearing from the heart, you're feeling from the heart, and source responds, God responds, universe responds, and that's all energy. So you get energy from feeling good or back into your heart, and the universe just mirrors back to you. And that's why manifesting money is energy, and all problems with money is because our beliefs around what we think money is, and our energy, like the energy that which was inside of us. So kudos to you. That's wonderful. What would you tell someone? Well, what is like different? In what way was working with me different than working with any previous experience you've had? What was different about working with me specifically?
The addition of working with energy. Really. I mean, everything else is the mind. Everything is so focused on the mind, right? Like if you're on a counseling, if you're doing different types of therapy, like everything is all about the mind. And that's great because your mind does need to be in a certain place to be able to receive. But energetically, if you're not there, like you're always going to have a block. So bringing in the energetics into it was like everything that made the whole huge difference.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's so
Beautiful.
good.
That's awesome. That's really great, because that's alignment, and that's what this whole program is about. Or anytime working with me, or what I believe the true way that all of us soar and elevate our lives is through alignment. What would you tell someone who's considering working with me? What could you tell them about your experience, or me personally, and as your guide?
Yeah, I would tell them that it would probably transform their lives if they're like in a place where they're ready to do the work.
Yes.
That the value is like off the charts, and that like it's absolutely something you should consider doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. That's powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And the last question is, so would you recommend Crystallize Your Vision to people? And who would this program be a good match for, in your heartfelt opinion?
Yeah. Yes, 100%. I think it's a match for so many people. I think it's a match for anyone who wants to deepen their connection to the divine. If anyone is feeling like maybe they kind of like have everything that they think that they should, but they're not feeling happy, good match for you. And anyone who really like wants to tap into a community, like a supportive community with spiritual people, spiritual women. Yes, that's the other key that's been really great, is like putting importance on women and the connection that we have, because women are powerful and it's really overlooked.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I'm really overjoyed that you've had such incredible, growth, success, and where you are today, Rachelle. I'm just, my heart's really happy for you and really proud of you. And it's just been so fun to go deeper with you, and also share my truth with you. I definitely, you get to see the authentic, real self, and for me as well. Otherwise, I couldn't ask that of all of the people who take the program or work with me.
It's true. Yeah.
We have to be that which we want to see.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rachelle. I really appreciate your time today, and I just wish you continued success. And I'm so grateful that you have access to the program when it suits you and aligns with you, to be there to participate and to inspire. So
yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, love. So much love. Mwah, my heart to yours.
Bye.